Hello, class. SketchUp number 14. This is a rounded seat with a cushion or a rounded cushion on top of a seat. So let's get started. Let me share the screen. And here we go. Okay, there's the rounded seat and a cushion. After I finish, this is a more difficult one. I'll show you how to do just a plain square seat with a rounded cushion, but this is a little more realistic looking. And I've got a little base on it down here. This could be like a removable seat with storage inside. So let's get started. I'll show you how to do this. This is pretty cool. This is a very new concept. I'll show you. Let me get this totally out of the way here. Okay, so I'm not going to pay attention to the size, but I'm going to make a square. And you notice when you make the square, you'll get that diagonal that tells you you've got a square. Oh, my cat's wanting in my studio. Hang on. Come on. There she is. All right. Back to business here. So I've got a square, and I'm going to raise that up. You determine your dimensions, okay? If she hops up on my lap, I'll show you a picture of her. Her name is Little Cat. Clever, huh? Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is round these corners off. And I don't know if I did this before on something else, but what I'm going to do is put some guides. Let's come in about, well, mine's a pretty small box, so I'm going to do 1 inch. All the way around. I've got a pretty small box. Okay. Then here's where we're going to round these corners off. So I'm just going to place the circle tool right here and let it snap to the guide. Just letting it snap right to the guide. This is pretty elegant the way this works. So instead of creating a rounded corner rectangle and then using push-pull, see, my version doesn't have, all I've got is a square. I think your version has a rounded rectangle. I'm not sure. But anyway, this is kind of cool. And that's the only way I can do it on my version. So then I just pull these down. And I'll have it. Now that's just the corners. What I want to do is round these corners off too. So this is a little more difficult. So if you did it by this method, like I said, in your version, you might be able to directly draw a rounded rectangle and then pull up into this shape right here. But I've got to do it this way. Okay. So now the next thing I want to do is round these corners off here on the edges. That would be very uncomfortable to sit in without having some kind of a rounded edge for the back of your knees. Okay, here's a new concept. One of your tools, now this may be on your auxiliary tools, it's called a section plane. And I think you've probably covered that in some of your CAD classes with drafting. So you click on the section plane, and that's going to give you a plane that looks like this. So place it against this face right here and then click. Okay. Let me do this again here. I'm going to do it. Notice I've got it parallel to the green. I'm going to move it out here so it doesn't. Oh, wait, you know what I've got to do? I've got to delete this because it puts a section plane around everything in the picture, and it's moving it in too far because it's basing it off of this one. So let me just delete that. Okay. Section plane, and just click where you can see your plane is parallel to that edge, and see how it cuts into that and exposes the inside. Use the move tool, and when you place the move tool on the inside of that cutting plane, make sure you're moving it along one of the axes and go in beyond the curve. See how it's not erasing it, it's just cutting it and giving you a section of what it looks like in the interior. The cool thing is you could do this with your entire model and create like an interior view using that, but that's for another video. Whoops. You want to go in far enough so you're beyond the curve, and then just let go. Okay. Orbit this up so that you can see inside. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Take the pencil tool, and along this face, I'm working as big as I can. I'm drawing a vertical line. It doesn't matter how big you make it. This will determine how big of a rounded corner you have. I'm going to make it, I'm just going to play with it and see what it looks like. I did that wrong because I was talking while I was working. One there, and then one. Make sure you're on the axis. Okay. Then I'm going to use the arc tool, click and click, and you might have to adjust that so that it turns pink, or not pink, but green or blue. That means it's parallel to both faces. That means I'm at the end point, but when it turns that color, that means should be parallel. No, I think that's tangent right there when it's pink. It's tangent when it's pink. That means nothing. There we go. And double click it. So you should end up with a little shape, a little wedge shape, okay? Rotate this up so you can see a little bit of that wedge. You still need to be able to see that. Now what I'm going to do is, what I want to do is select the perimeter edge going all the way around this. So if I double click inside that top surface, it selects the face and the edge. Then hold the shift key down and deselect the face. So all you have remaining selected. Now, even though this doesn't look like it's selected all of it, it's a section, so it did select everything. Okay. Click on the follow me tool and just careful. Now you need to work real big in here so you can actually put your tool up in there to select that. See how you get the little dots? If you're not getting the dots, undo and go back and start over again. And when I click that, bam, I love that. It's so elegant. Okay. We can see how we've got the rounded corners. Now you need to remove the section. And I can just click on it and it's blue and then delete it. There it is. Let's get rid of these guides. Now, what you'll want to do is, on the one I did that I showed you, I left this line as if this were made out of wood and this was some kind of a cushion top, so I would still see that little seam in here. So I would leave that line in there. all the other lines. Now, again, to select this line, instead of going around it like this, multiple select, just double click in that face and then hold the shift key down, and that'll deselect the interior of that. So you can hide that. And I would hide these also. Shift and multiple select. I'm not going to do the one on the back side. And then hide that. And then to put that base on the bottom, I just went to the bottom of it. Use the offset tool. And came in here about like that. Put a little base on it. And if you want to get rid of these little short little lines. But there it is. That would be like one of those modular seating units. So this would be like a lid that would come off. Or if you want to, you could come in here with the rectangle tool and put some kind of an opening in here for storage. Books, magazines, food, whatever. Maybe it goes all the way through. I don't know. Or just stops right there. Some kind of storage underneath your seating. You do whatever you want. Okay. So that's that. And then, of course, you'd want to make it a component after you finish all this. Okay, the other one would be, let me move this out of the way. This other method, or the other type of box, is much easier because you're working with just a square box with no rounded corners. So say this was your modular seating of some kind. I'm trying to get that to be a square. I'm not going to worry about it. So you raise that up to the height you want. And this is pretty easy. Take your arc tool, and that's what I used over here. Over here I used the arc tool, not the 2-point or 3-point or the pi, but the arc tool. The arc, you click on the two endpoints and then drag up, and it creates the arc. See that? I clicked here. This is what I did on the one on the other one. Use the arc tool on this. I would just working on the inside of it. You can't do it on a rounded corner because it's got to be on the inside, or it can't be sitting on the outside of it, that little wedge. Anyway, get back to this. So I click, and see when it's red or pink, it'll say tangent. That's all there is to it, really. And double click to give you the face and the edge and the edge. Shift, deselect the center. Use the follow me tool. Notice when you click on the follow me tool, the line turns off, but it's still been selected for the purposes of the follow me tool. Bam. Okay. So I'm not going to repeat it because you can just repeat the video. But then again, 1, 2, deselect that, and then I can hide that. You can even hide these if you want. It would take some time to go in here, multiple select to get rid of that little arc in there, which looks a little fakey. I'm not going to do all of them, just the one. That's where it helps to go in big. And then I could hide those if I wanted to. See, but this has a square corner, so the rounded corner is going to be kind of squared off too. This looks much much better, I think, as a seat. This is kind of it shows the space, but it's not really that realistic looking. This looks a little better. So, okay, you got the video for the rounded corners. Um, let's see. I was going to show you one more thing. Um, if you're going to round a cylinder like this, that's another video. And if nobody has one, I won't do a video unless you ask me about it. It's similar to this. It takes a couple little steps. So I think that would be a separate video or a one-on-one demonstration. Okay, so I think that's about it. Let me think if there's anything else with this. I think that's it. Okay, thanks for watching.